Hi everyone, I'm Sloan from SloanBella.com and I'm back with another celebrity channeled video. This is a combination of celebrity and infamous channeled video because I'm talking about the murdered wife of O.J. Simpson, Nicole Brown Simpson, O.J. Simpson himself, who is still on the side of the energy field, and Ron Goldman, Nicole's friend that got murdered along with her on that night. Now, what's really interesting is, oh my gosh, it has been years ago that this happened, but there probably isn't one of us that doesn't understand what's going on with the O.J. Simpson case because he's been emblazoned in our brain, okay? So O.J. Simpson is a July 9th Cancer with a Leo rising and a freaking Pisces moon. Now, Pisces moons, when they are being manipulative and going after what they want, can actually be quite delusional about what they're doing. So I'm assuming he was doing that. They're also very drug addicted, but I'm going to get into the story a bit more because this story for me goes way back, way back. Back before I had kids, back before all of that. I was looking for work in Hollywood as an actress and I was hired. I went to an audition and I had to show up in a bikini because I was going to be a bikini girl. That was cool. At least I wish I could wear the bikini now, right? But anyway, I showed up and it was a movie called Beach Fever. And I was hired to be a girl on the beach in the bikini. And that was the movie that Kato Kaelin did way back in the day. It has to be 86 or 87. It was not more than 87, I don't believe. Because I just got into LA, I got hired. Now here was the thing, I was to show up, I got hired, and for some reason during my drinking days, I decided I would take off with the director and go on a drinking binge for a while we were location scouting, and then of course, you know, I kind of just took off on my own and never did the movie. So the movie obviously went forward without me. However, jump forward many years to the night that O.J. Simpson is being pulled off an airplane coming back from Chicago, being told that his wife was murdered, as if he didn't know that, and has a mark on his finger. I was actually stepping off an airplane literally at that moment. I got off an airplane in Vancouver, Canada. I was on my way to get my green card. And I looked right up at the television monitor as I stepped off the plane in the airport and I saw all the commotion around O.J. Simpson. And I was like, whoa. And immediately what I saw, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to start saying this first, and I'm going to pick up on Nicole's energy because I've kind of been trying to pull her in. But the first thing I saw when I looked at him was complete, I'm going to word it as coyote energy. I knew he had done something, but it's not fair just because somebody has a look about them to actually think that they murdered their wife or that they were part of it. However, the way that he looked was a guilt-ridden or coyote look around him, like he'd been up to something and there was some sort of a trick going on at that moment. Okay, so then jump forward years later while he's on trial. I'm getting all my O.J. Simpson stories out. And of course, I'm living in Burbank and I'm living around the corner from Marcia Clark, who I'm seeing in the Save-On, and I'm like walking down the aisle. I'm like, who is that woman? I know her. Of course I know her. She's plastered on my TV, but it was pretty funny. I remember running into her. It wasn't Save-On. It might have been Rite Aid back then. Anyway, Keithy was just born and the trial was going on, and I would see OJ in that parking lot in his Mercedes. I would see O.J. Simpson at Full of Life in Burbank, if you guys know that, if anybody's in Burbank, and I would see O.J. Simpson outside of Whole Foods. I saw the man everywhere. However, it didn't concern me until I saw Marcia Clark in one of the stores and O.J. Simpson in the parking lot. Then I was like, oh shit. Anyway, let's get back to Nicole Brown Simpson. So that's my familiarity with the case and O.J. Simpson, but I'm going to pick up on the energy around Nicole Brown Simpson. Now, the first thing, because before I start doing this, I don't prep for it much because I don't want to put my own thinking into the reading because, again, it's their words. It's not my opinion of what happened. And personally, I always did think O.J. Simpson was guilty because there's only one person that wants to kill a wife, and that's usually the husband, or vice versa. After being married and being in a domestic violence situation. But it's funny, when Nicole comes through, she comes through, okay, I'm going to tell you something about her. She was a murder victim. She was very much pissed off that she stepped out of her body in that circumstance. She never thought for a minute that he would actually do that she would end up dead. It's not that she wasn't scared, but she didn't actually think like, I'm not going to raise my kids. That's what I keep getting from her. She was very focused on her kids. Now, what she is kind of making me feel is that for about 6 or 7 months leading up to when she was murdered, she was in a back and forth with her ex-husband, which was O.J. Simpson. I believe they were separated at the time. So she was in a back and forth. And keep in mind, Nicole is a Taurus, and they can be outrageously stubborn. And she is a Pisces rising with a Libra moon. Now, the Libra moon can incite violence. Libra moon has a tendency to sweep those kind of things under the rug, because remember, it's about balance. But nonetheless, what I get with her is for the several months prior to her passing, she was actually she was trying to assert herself, being independent from O.J. Simpson, and she was trying to get on with her life. Although what she's making me feel is everything in her life was dragged back and around O.J. Simpson. So it was all about her ex and not necessarily about her. She is laughing. She's pretty strong and pretty ballsy, actually. She's not quiet. She's not subdued. She has a strong, dynamic personality. She's not a wallflower. She's not sitting back there letting OJ beat the shit out of her all the time. She was in his face, confronting him. She was saying, stop it. I'm not saying he's not bigger and he couldn't get one over on her. That's obvious, because she did end up with bruises, and I'm sure he did stuff where she couldn't stand up, but she would try to stand up. She fought back. She was a fighter. This woman was a fighter. Now, as a child, she always wanted to be liked in her family. So when she brought O.J. Simpson home, this was a good thing for the family. This was something that she did to contribute to her family. It sounds weird, but she's thinking of it like a Taurus. So she's bringing O.J. Simpson home to meet the family, and O.J. Simpson has the means with which to employ the family. So Nicole is saying this was good. The family was happy with her. I almost feel like she was kind of a subdued child and a kind child. Never thought this would happen. Really didn't think this would happen. She knew that she married a very, very erratic, very odd, very changeable, like fiery, changeable man. Okay, so OJ was incredibly changeable in his temperament, and she's talking what she finds really funny. And this is funny. You know what? I'm going to tell you something. She has gotten even. She's telling me she got even with OJ. I'm not even discussing whether he did it or not, but she's saying she got even with him. And I'm going to wait to pull that through because I don't know what that means actually. Nicole is talking about the fact that from very early on in their relationship, she didn't see properly. So this is kind of when people date when they're young. I don't know that any of us see anything actually. So we think somebody is, and keep in mind, this man was, you know, an amazing football player, tremendously handsome with charisma beyond. I mean, people love this man. I don't blame her for dating him, but she should have known because he started dating her while he was dating someone else. This is interesting. And in between his marriage. So there were several women on the side, and he always had women. He had to have women. She is kind of telling me, now this is interesting, what they argued about in the early part of their relationship was more about the fact that he had an idea for who she should be, okay? So I don't know that she thought this was good or bad or whatever. She just thought he knows better. He can, you know, he can shape me. I don't really know what I want to do at this point. I'm talking way back in the beginning of the relationship. She is also saying that from the very beginning part of the relationship, he was doing cocaine, okay? So there's no ifs, ands, or buts. She's kind of laughing that they accused her of being murdered by a drug dealer for a drug debt that was owed, because that was really OJ that did that, not her. She's like, I didn't really I'm not saying she didn't do it a couple of times. I'm saying it wasn't her thing. It was her husband's thing. And their dynamic was very interesting. She got along perfectly fine with him as long as she went along with his idea for her. And actually, as long as she went along and didn't ask him questions about what he did. Now, his energy stands up really strong, even as I'm talking about this. So I have a feeling that he's actually kind of good intuitively at picking up on when people are focused on him, and he can kind of tap into different people's energy, all of us who talk about OJ Simpson, because remember, he was just plastered over everything. The thing that I found really interesting about him, and I'm going to get into what I feel from his energy. Actually, I'm going to say that right now. What I'm getting from OJ's energy is I get two distinctly different personalities. One that he carries tremendous shame with. This is all the way back to his childhood. All the way back, okay? Like way back to his childhood. There's pieces of his energy that he can't admit to. So let's say in childhood, I don't know, did something stupid or, who knows what. We can usually say, when I was 10, I set fire to the neighbor's garage or whatever. He will not admit this. This is a taboo subject for him. And he got his ass kicked for it is what he's not telling me. Nicole's showing me this, but I'm picking up on his energy. He got his ass kicked for this growing up. This is how he got so tough. OJ got tough because people were messing with him because of this shame. So the issue hits him at a core level. And it's interesting because Nicole is then focusing my attention on her figure, okay? So, and especially on the breast area, and she's showing me the wounds on her body. She's showing me everything from down here. And by the way, the other thing she's saying is that Ron, although they had been intimate, they'd had sex, Ron was really a friend. He wasn't necessarily somebody that she was, quote, dating. She was fucking with OJ a bit in the sense that she would show up with Ron and she would show up in a public sense, like drive by where she knew that he was so that he could see Ron with her. And like driving the car, OJ had a thing where his stuff was his stuff. Don't touch his stuff. And his wife was his stuff. Even if he didn't want his wife, she was his stuff. Okay. So he was very territorial, very jealous. And Ron was a little Cancer energy. He was a little Cancer. So Cancers are sweet, and they can be strong and they can be whatever. But Nicole was a good looking woman and Ron kind of like dug her. He was like, I kind of dig this chick. And they had that kind of a relationship. I don't feel it was serious, but they were by far good friends. I do feel like they talked a lot. I do feel like they hung out together. I feel like they did stuff together. I don't think it was like this hugely passionate sexual love affair. In fact, I feel like that was concocted a little bit in order to justify in the media or with people what OJ did. Now, just because you have sex with somebody doesn't give someone else the right to murder you, all right? Or beat you or, mess with you or take your children. I mean, people have sex, get over it. But I don't feel it was like, I don't feel she left the marriage for that reason. I feel like Ron Goldman was a friend and they talked and they had a lot of similar interests. She had a very vivacious kind of energy and Ron kind of liked to hang out around her. He liked the way it was, but there was something about her that he actually liked. Like he liked the way she looked. I really think he did. And I think he would have probably gone on to date her a little bit more seriously had she been okay with it and had they both lived. I think Ron was more a victim of his choice. I very much feel this was karmic and this is a theatrical. What I'm saying when I'm seeing this is I feel like this is a Shakespearean play. I feel like all of these components came down and they are expressing themselves theatrically, dramatically, like on a grand scale is what I feel like. So I feel like each and every one of the people involved in Nicole Brown's death, including the friends in her life, I feel it like a play. I feel it like a Shakespearean. Better yet, I feel it a little bit like a Tennessee Williams play for those of you that know Tennessee Williams. I mean, he was a demented playwright, excellent playwright, but this is as tragic in modern day terms as that. That's how I feel about it. Nicole is saying that probably 3 weeks prior to her being murdered. Now, I'm asking in my head, who killed you? Again, I do think OJ Simpson did it. I always did. The police just couldn't take the blood out of the car and take it home with them because you just can't have the police doing BS like that because, just what we're supposed to believe them. I don't think so. So I can see why the jury did what it did. But I'm going to say this, as I'm looking at Nicole's energy, I'm going down this, it's like she's going whoosh right back. Like she's going through a tunnel when she got murdered. She flew backwards out of her body. That was the force. So I believe Nicole was actually attacked first. And I believe Ron was summoned there, which is really weird. Okay. I I know they said that he was on his way to bring back her glasses or her mother's glasses, but there's something not right about that from what I'm feeling. I feel like the impact Nicole felt, she literally flew right back out through her body. So she was instantaneously dead. I mean, just dead. Now, what she is showing me, she's showing me her breast area, like her boobs, and she's showing me they're all cut up. Okay, this was done after she died, and they are hacked. I mean, whatever, their knife was cut into them. That's what she's showing me, and she's kind of like, just like shaking her head like this. I feel from what she's telling me that the reason that these breasts were cut up, and I'm focused on this area, this is what she's showing me. She's showing me her femininity through her breasts, okay? So we think of women as mothers and nurturers and sexual because if they have breasts, right? Like feminine curves. She's showing me this area, and she's saying that that is something that OJ had an issue with. Now, I'm assuming if those weren't her breasts, he gave her those breasts. He, bought them as her husband. But I am literally feeling like she's telling me he had an issue with women and men wanting breasts. Okay, that sounds weird. It isn't sexual. I'm going all the way back to the childhood shame, all the way back. I'm sinking right into OJ's personality and the thing that he can't say and the reason that his wife is dead and the things that he can't do. And I'm going to say this straight out. When OJ was on cocaine, and I think he was, that's what I'm getting from the other side. There are people that have said he did drugs too, but I'm actually picking this up. I feel like OJ took that little boy, the one that got beat up, because of the breasts, which is weird. I know he didn't have breasts. I'm not saying that, but I literally am going straight to his childhood and straight to the fact that he had women raise him and straight to the fact Nicole is showing me OJ's father, showing me that OJ's father wore breasts. So I'm going to say, now that's kind of weird because, okay, anyway, OJ Simpson had a shame issue with breasts and men wanting breasts, which I think would be men wanting to screw his wife, but that's not what it is. It's literally men wanting breasts. The rage on her body that happened after the beheading of her was so violent that she just whoosh right out, but through the back of her body. She did not go out front. She went out back. I mean, straight back, straight down a dark hall, God, almost like a Star Trek thing. Boom, through a dark hall, and she stopped. And there was some shock. She actually witnessed Ron getting murdered, but from outside of her body. She saw that, and he did not show up at her house. Oh God, she did not. Sorry, my body's getting tingling. I think Ron's trying to come through. Wow. Okay, so there's a lot of sadness with Ron Goldman. It's been years, but understand on the other side, Nicole is feistier. Ron is sadder. Ron is, there's so much sadness around what went on and the part that he played. This is the word that I'm hearing. He steps right over here. He steps right in front of me right here. And the part that he played in this whole situation, he didn't think about twice about going to Nicole, but he was called to Nicole, and I don't know that the glasses had anything to do with it. I know that that's what they say, and he may have picked the glasses up as a secondary thing, but he went to his friend. She was his friend. I don't care if they had sex. I mean, whatever. That's what men and women do, or anybody does, but it's not that. He was her friend, and there's so much sadness, and there was so much sadness around her children being left. For some reason, he felt responsible for this. Now, I don't think Ron had anything to do with her death, but what he's kind of showing me is because he was friends with Nicole, and he had a right to be friends with her, by the way, but because he was friends with her, and the way that this was taken by OJ, who was constantly seeing it over here, okay? So they're showing me a place where you drink coffee. I'm really sad from Ron's energy. Nicole is strong and feisty here, and she's like, I'm present and I'm ready. And Ron is actually sad because so much has gone on. There's so much, I almost feel like this has happened to him before on a soul level, and he put himself in the situation he thinks. I think he was actually tricked to go there. I don't think that, I feel he was set up to go there, is what I'm saying. This is a setup, and he put himself to play this part, is what I'm hearing. I don't know what that means, but I almost feel like Nicole brought Ron with her, and then OJ would see it, like they're having breakfast or they're watching, drinking coffee, pardon me, or they're walking in their neighborhood, and then boom, around the corner comes Nicole and Ron, but it's Ron and he's driving the car, and Nicole's laughing and throwing her head back, and I'm seeing that, and Ron's like, why did I do that? And he's not thinking anything of it. He's just thinking like, this is my friend and I'm driving this cool car, and she's laughing and she's a hot chick, and she was OJ Simpson's ex-wife, but they're not together. And he's just like, yeah. And she's laughing, and OJ's becoming insanely enraged. Like he's sitting there boiling. And I'm seeing his face like, oh my God, just like blank out. Okay. Like it's a blank rage. I know that he's doing a lot of drugs. I see him doing this quite a bit. Now, here's the thing. When I'm seeing Ron come to the house and I'm seeing OJ, Nicole is showing me, it's like she's blocking me with a curtain. There is more than one person involved in this. There is a lot of people involved in this, not all of them killing her. And I feel like it was OJ. I'm going to say this. I feel like OJ is a participant, but I feel like there's another participant. And I feel like these two men over here did this, but I feel like it's a manipulation. And I feel like OJ, he both is violent and he covers. He's violent and he covers. So there's two people doing this, or there's two people involved in this. And then there's all the people involved in knowing bits and pieces of it. Nicole would not shut up. Okay. So just so you know, after she crossed out of her body, she literally saw Ron be attacked and be caught off guard. She couldn't stop it. This traumatizes her. Now, I've got Nicole's energy here, and I've got Ron literally standing in front of me here. These two, although they are in my scope, are in two different places on the other side. They are in two different realities, two different worlds, two different experiences. They acknowledge each other, but Ron is ultimately sadder, and Nicole is in an entirely different mindset. As I'm looking at the energy of Nicole as she's flashing out of her body and showing me that there is more than what her heart is actually hurting as I'm feeling this. Like her heart is literally hurting because she didn't expect the two people that she sees. I do believe that she thought OJ, if he was going to kill anybody, it would be her, but I don't think she actually thought that he would participate. But there's somebody else standing by him, and she's just like, the betrayal is so strong. But the biggest betrayal is with Ron, because she saw that, and I can see her out of her body, even though the shock of her being flung out of her body, being pushed, it's so violent actually what happened to her. And then her watching Ron, seeing that happen and not being able to stop it was devastating on a soul level to her. And Ron was so like caught off guard by what happened. It was a complete trap. Somebody called Ron over there, and he wasn't on his way to talk to Nicole the way it was. It was a complete trap. Now, here's what's interesting. I do feel that OJ had somebody like tagging or following Nicole everywhere she went. So she was watched, okay? Because I'm seeing like binoculars and she's watched. So this to me is some kind of security person, or, I don't know, private eye or ex-cop or somebody. I actually feel like it's an ex-cop. And I feel like Nicole was watched quite a bit. Now, here's what's interesting. There was a younger man and there was OJ, okay? And there is at least 30 people in town right now that know what happened. At least 30 people. And it was not a drug deal gone wrong. She's still like, are you kidding me? That drug dealer does not rip apart her body. Now, what she is saying to me is her man, OJ, had issues with sexuality, with being gay. Not that he was gay, but with the idea of men being gay and transgender. Now, that's very interesting because I know she was friends with Bruce Jenner, well, his wife, I guess, Robert Kardashian at the time, Kris Jenner and Bruce Jenner, same issue. She's pointing that out. OJ had that issue where he was very shamed about men who wanted to be women and wanted breasts. That's why her breasts were hacked apart. That's why it wasn't a drug deal. And that's why it was a personal thing. It had something to do with the fact that she was a female and that she had breasts and that men wanted her breasts, but not for sex. Men wanted her breasts on their body. This goes back to his childhood. This goes back to why he was raised by his mother. This goes back to his father, right back to his father. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so this is part of OJ's angst in his personality. This is part of what actually flips him out, is that there's this thing. And I don't know if you guys know people on cocaine. I've had the misfortune of being around some of them, and they are batshit crazy and paranoid. So imagine if you have a husband who's violent and angry at you, and he's a cocaine addict, and he's snorting cocaine all the time. This is what I'm seeing with OJ. He's snorting cocaine all the time, okay? I mean, all the time, like up on the bathroom, up in his house, like he's just doing cocaine. He'd been doing it for a long time. Teenage boy, he was he had this thing where he would just beat the shit out of people and, wander around like a, you ever seen a stray dog that's like really pissed off and you try to be friendly and feed it and it kind of turns and snarls at you? He was that dog, okay? I'm not calling him a dog. I'm just saying he reminds me of those kind of stray dogs that run around and get pissed off all the time and growl at you when you try to help them. That was OJ. He couldn't really be helped. People excused his drug addiction because he was OJ Simpson and a Heisman Trophy winner. Why would you not? Well, I wouldn't, but they're making money off him, so that's how it went. And Nicole's family, there's a bit of that guilt that goes on with it as well. Now, this is an interesting thing because she goes right back to her little daughter, okay, and her son. But it's her daughter she's most worried about. Like there's something emotionally not right with her daughter even now, and that upsets her. There's a lot of prayer that comes from Nicole to her kids, in particular her own daughter. A lot. Like she's worried about her children, but her daughter in particular. Ron comes through, he's just tremendously sad. Like there's so many things he wanted to do, and there's so many. I have a feeling that Ron Goldman is going to be publicized somehow because he's saying that what they're saying about him isn't true. And I'm thinking this is like 26 years ago or something, 25, 26 years ago this happened. Something like that. Anyway, I feel like, it was in 94, so this is a long time ago. I feel like something about Ron is going to come out publicly. Like we are going to hear something about him. Obviously the O.J. Simpson case probably just came up because we just had the death date. However, I feel this is separate. I don't know if this is from Ron's family. I don't know who this is from, but I'm seeing it. Now, the other thing that I'm seeing, and Nicole has a wicked sense of humor. She's stepping forward right now because she's like, it's a time schedule I'm on, but I'm trying to get this out. She's stepping forward and kind of showing me that she got even with her ex-husband for everything he did to her. She's not talking about the murder. She's talking about it in general. He was a living nightmare. He was sweet and then mean, and then sweet and then mean. And here's what's interesting. When I looked at OJ's chart, I noticed that he was born with a Mercury retrograde, which is fascinating because we just went through a nightmare of a Mercury retrograde and the thinking is like just messed up. However, when somebody is born with a Mercury retrograde, their life purpose is to focus spiritually, not materialistically. And this man kind of blew it with his drugs and his sex and his cars. Nicole is showing me it's this theatrical, dramatic, Shakespearean, Tennessee Williams play that these three characters have been combined in lifetime over lifetime. Ron Goldman included, by the way. Ron Goldman has been in this scenario with these two people for more than one soul life on this earth. And it's very interesting because Nicole is kind of saying she got even full-fledged with OJ Simpson. Now, how did she get even? She's a tough, she's not a beaten wife the way that you think. She's not submissive. She's not like that. She actually got even with OJ. You want to know how? This is hilarious. I mean, I don't find it funny if I'm the girl, but she said that she sent a woman to OJ who looked like her, spoke like her, got in his face like her, that he couldn't do anything to because the public was watching him. That's that girlfriend that he lived with, that Christine, I think her last name is Prati, I hope. Anyway, if I butchered it, I'm sorry. But Nicole Brown sent that girl to him. She sent the girl there energetically to mess with her ex. Now, she is saying that on a karmic level, you're not supposed to do that. But at the time that that was all going on, the trial, she was on a soul level so unsettled and so caught to the earth because people wouldn't let her go. They wouldn't let her move on. So she sent this woman, this very similar looking woman to her looks, and sent her to OJ. Now, how does that happen? I'm asking how that happens. It's a little bit of planting the idea from the other side into that Christie's head, where she thinks she has to go meet OJ, and that's what she did, and gave him a living hell of payback is what she's saying. She is also showing me the knife that slashed her throat, and it was buried. It was buried publicly is what she's saying. I don't know if this is in somebody's front lawn or in her coffin. She's saying buried, the knife was buried, and it was public. It was publicly buried, so the public knows where it is what she's saying. Somebody has that knife and they've put it somewhere, or it has to be undug, but the knife that killed her, that's what they're saying. It definitely wasn't drug dealers, okay? She's going with that again. She's like, please, he was the one on drugs. It was not her owing anybody money, because he would have paid the money. That wouldn't have been an issue. They might have gotten into a fight, but OJ would have paid the money. He was the one that owed people money. He's the one that gambles. He's the one that screws around, and he threw it all on her. But he wasn't alone. This is twofold. This is more complicated. This is more along the lines of OJ participating and covering up at the same time. So that's what I'm getting with that. And again, with Nicole, she sent that girlfriend to mess with her ex-husband while she was bound. And I say bound, she was actually tied to the earth energy. This was supposed to happen in a certain way, and I don't know why, but it has really trashed the lives of everybody and on a karmic level. And she is now trying to elevate her energy. Now, as I said, when I look at Ron and I look at Nicole, Ron steps forward right in front of me. Like, Nicole's energy's here. Ron is here physically. That's why I started to start shivering before. He actually steps in, and there's such sadness. He missed out on a family. There was supposed to be a baby girl born to him, and he is showing me somebody's baby girl, but there was supposed to be a daughter that was supposed to come to him, and he was supposed to get married in this life. This is what he wanted, and he did it again. So there's still shame on his end about what happened. However, I am getting a little bit of a smile with him. He doesn't like, on a soul level, being connected to the reason that she passed away. And Nicole is telling me that he was tricked. It was going to happen for Nicole, but Ron was actually tricked. So there was something else going on behind the scenes. And I'm going to try to pick up more with this, but that's what I have for right now on Nicole Brown Simpson, OJ Simpson, and Ron Goldman. And once again, my name is Sloan from SloanBella.com.